And so, do you want to be controlled by the bad or do you want to be controlled by the good? Welcome to the Lips and Language podcast. My name is Cola, where we talk about life, love, and language. Remember to subscribe, like, and share. Let's get into today's topic. Hey y'all, so my God and Sex series is coming to a slow. That last episode that I had with Daniel talking about, everything and anything in between was really the conclusion to this series. I will definitely touch on sex again because why not? It's a good topic to talk about, especially when it comes to the body of Christ and things that people just in general don't want to talk about, but we need to address it. And whether you're Christian or not, these are still good habits to have. Don't be out here sleeping with everybody. Don't be sending nudes. Making sure that you are connected, making sure that you are feeling okay, making sure that your sinful nature, your desires, are not taking over. And when I say sinful nature, y'all know what I mean. I'm not being overly religious. I just mean the bump in the night that nobody likes to talk about, that kind of stuff, right? And so in talking about this community of people, of ideas that are a lot more fresh, that are a lot more out there, we've really been tapping into a side that society really tries hard not to discuss. Like, have you ever, I don't know about y'all, but when I was really just like doing my own thing, we would always have conversations about life, love, sex, and it was like there's this shame that it wasn't just shame put there because we're not supposed to be doing it. It was like the shame to talk about the different things that we're into. And it's almost like the more you were like into it, the more that you desired, or the more that you tried to show like, oh, this doesn't bother me, is the more that it really kind of like ate away at me on the inside. Say what you must. Being somebody who has experience, I'm like going through all these sexual experiences, it does eat away at us. Like, there's no way we can go through all this and be untouched. It hits our soul, especially with that. Then when you add layers of sexual assault and all these other things, like it really truly eats away at us. I've had a lot more peace being single. I've had a lot more peace being in just the joy of the Lord, being my own company. You know what I mean? Is then being in a relationship but being insecure or fighting over like the smallest things or the stupid things. And so this journey has been really interesting when it came to opening up and talking about my own experiences, things that I've been through, things that I wrestled with, desire after being abstinent for 10 years, falling into sin a little bit, not a little bit, like I fell into sin, but recovering from that and allowing God to wash me back clean. Like, that's the whole point of this series, is that we're allowing not the things that we've been through to define us, but we're allowing ourselves to come into the new, coming into a refreshing side of life where we're growing, we're able to speak in love, laughter, and languages that might be new to our ears, but it brings a lot of contentment. It brings a lot of joy. It brings a lot of happiness. It brings a lot of settling. It brings a lot of like, oh, this is new for my personality, but I'm going to do something differently. I'm going to do something that I didn't know was available to me, but definitely brings me a lot of peace. And what I loved is one of the scriptures that I had studied, going through the tail end of everything, of going through falling into sin, being washed, coming out of it, like just really tripping myself up and really having to not even find God again, because he was always there. Like, God doesn't leave. God does not like, oop, you made a mistake, see ya. Like, he's like, man, that sucks, but I'm here, right? Like, he's like, I share in your pain. And one of the things that I loved is that, like, he wasn't condemning me. Like, it wasn't like, pack up your things and leave. It was like, okay, well, this is a part of the lesson. This is a part of understanding desires, understanding your body, understanding temptation, understanding limits, understanding good practices, understanding boundaries. Like all of these things come into play. All of these things are necessary when we're building and when we're in this season of, man, our desires are going hard. Man, we're still single and we're waiting on finding somebody, but not waiting like just like looking, like waiting as in doing the work necessary, asking the right questions, meeting the right people, networking, and seeing, okay, is this a go or is it not? And praying, making sure that we're praying, making sure that we are tapped into prayer, that we're not just out here running around doing everything, and not praying, not taking time out to sleep, not taking time out to rest, not taking time out to take these mental breaks that are necessary. Because when we are bombarding ourselves, overwhelming ourselves with TV, with music, and with everything that's going on, friends, family, it's really easy to get broken down. It's really easy to turn to sex as a coping mechanism. It's really easy to get caught up in people that you know you don't like them. You know they don't like you, but yet somehow you're in the bed. How? And it's really easy to use that as a way to feel pretty. But like that's not what we're building here. Christian or not, that's not what we're building here. We're not out here just renting out our bodies for no reason. Did you know that ignoring your self-awareness will keep you stuck and emotionally imprisoned? Man, we go through life with this hustle mentality, going, never taking a moment to stop, to breathe, until life kind of just spirals out of control. But it is time to take control. It is time to experience the freedom of your most authentic self. And I have a gift for you. I have witnessed the tears, the happiness, the joy, the transformation when I have done this workshop in jail, in colleges, in high schools, and I want to offer this to you. So, click the link below, get access to the free mini course. There's 4 videos. You are going to enjoy it, and let's get to the other side of healing because you deserve to show up authentically as you. Like, we have to have purpose. We have to see us as how God sees us, which is beautiful. Like, it's absolutely gorgeous how God sees us. And we have to want to move more in a way that is pleasing. Is pleasing to our mind, is pleasing to our psyche, that is not setting us up for failure. And so there's this verse that I really love. It's in Romans 8, verse 1, it says, "So now there is no condemnation for those who belong to Christ Jesus. And because you belong to him, the power of the life-giving Spirit has freed you from the power of sin that leads to death." Now, when you think about what is the sin that leads to death, what are those things? Well, it's everything that I've addressed in this God and Sex series: the sending the nudes, the getting caught up with people, the conversations that we have, the things that we're looking at, the things that we're attaching to ourselves, all of that. Along with alcohol and the rest of it. But for the sake of this series, all of those things, sexually, the porn and the masturbation, those are the sins that can lead to death. And it can be death, like physically, but it's also like a spiritual death. It just kills you inside. Like you start, like I said, you start doing things that you don't even know. You wake up one day, you're like, how did we get here? How am I so connected to this? How am I so attached to this? How am I so drawn to that? Like, why am I here and I'm feeling so empty? Why am I in a relationship and everything seems to be great, but I'm still miserable? Well, we're miserable because we have a lot going on. We're miserable because we've given ourselves over to the actions that lead to death. We're miserable because we're doing things over and over and over that do not please God, that do not please just our regular body, how we're meant to be created, how we're meant to move. It's not pleasing to that side of us. It really does drain us. There's sometimes it's almost like we're split. Like there's the logical side of us and then the one that wants to have fun, right? The spirit inside of us is always trying to get us to do the good. It's always trying to get us to do the things that are better for us. When people ask like, why Jesus, why God, right? There is this balance in this world of good and evil. And the thing that people just don't seem to connect to is that when we're doing things with God, when we're doing things in a specific way, we're leaning more towards the good that is for us. It's only for our own benefit. When we lead towards a thing that might seem fun, that might seem like, okay, there's too much rules over on the good side. Let me go to the bad side. It's fun to be a little bad. Like, is lawless. There's no rules over there. People are cheating and hurting and scraping and stealing, and like it, there needs to be rules. There needs to be boundaries, because then, like, how do you know when to stop? Or do you just go to the death? And that comes right back to what I'm saying, is that we live a life when we're refreshing our minds, when we're doing the things that are good, when we're not being good people. Like, the God is the only one that's good. Like, as much as you think, oh, I'm such a good person, there's evil inside you. There's sin. There's nasty thoughts. There's, like, none of us are perfect, so we're not 100% free of the evils of this world. Like, and I feel like some people will be shocked to see what they actually, like, when let loose a little bit, what they actually think to, what they actually do. Because then people feel like they're so good, like nothing can catch them, and then something catches them off guard. You know why? Because pride. Pride will get you every single time. Pride goes before destruction. So when you sit up there thinking you're high and mighty, hoity-toity, something will come and knock you the heck out. Just take it out, right? And so one of those things is our minds. Our minds are so powerful. And so I love that it says that we're free from the power of sin that leads to death. I mean, we're free from the things that we feel drawn to, that we feel addicted to, that we feel like we need in our lives. We're free from those. When we set our mind on God, when we set our mind on doing the things that are better for us, we automatically are free from those things. Like, automatically meaning, like, the more you love, the less you hate. You know what I'm saying? Let's say you have a relationship with somebody. The more you love that person, you're going to want to do the things that you know makes them happy. You're going to want to step away from the things that you know makes them upset, out of love for them. And so when I'm talking about love, when I'm talking about this series, I can't go through this series and not talk about Jesus. But before I get to Jesus, there's another scripture that I wanted to read. Verse 9, it says, "But you are not controlled by your sinful nature. You are controlled by the Spirit if you have the Spirit of God living in you. And Christ lives in you, so even though your body will die because of sin, the Spirit gives you life." There was another verse that I wanted, number 5, sorry, before that. "Those who are dominated by sinful nature think about sinful things, and those who are controlled by Holy Spirit think about things that please the Spirit. So letting your sinful nature control your mind leads to death, but letting the Spirit control your mind leads to life and peace. For the sinful nature is always hostile to God. It never did obey God's laws, and it never will. That's why those who are under the control of sinful nature can never please God." Now, I just want to pause and just talk about the fact that people think that they're in control when they're really not. They think they're in control, but it's really just like the evil controlling them. Like, people really feel like, oh, I'm not a puppet for nobody. Unfortunately, you're a puppet to something. Like, the when you think that, oh, you guys are so goody two shoes and all this rest of it, yeah, but like, you're controlled by the darkness around you. You're controlled by the evil. You're controlled by the desires inside of you that wants the bad. And so, do you want to be controlled by the bad, or do you want to be controlled by the good, the one that brings peace? Because I can tell you right now, living badly, living all that, there's so much torment. Like, I don't remember having peace living in that world. I don't remember having peace doing all those things that I did. I know I have peace now. I know I have joy now. I know my mind is renewed. And I loved how this talks about the mind. Everything starts in the mind. This whole series, everything starts in the mind. As a man thinketh. Remember that. As a man thinketh. So the minute you're into something, the minute you're doing something, the minute you're going along with something mentally, it's already started to create that desire. That's why things like masturbation and porn are so challenging, because you're giving yourself over to this imagination and you're exchanging your body for it. Your payment is with your body. And so when you are controlled by that, it all leads to a spiritual death. It all leads to sadness, anger, unforgiveness. And a spiritual death can eventually lead to physical death, because for those people who are so drawn to alcohol, drugs, sex, and everything else, it can lead to suicide. It can lead to alcohol poisoning. It can lead to diseases. Like, There is no good end. It always ends with something. But no matter how crazy your life is, if you change it around, if you can turn the trajectory of your life in the next direction, you could go for something new. You can go for something fragrant. You can go for something that's fresh. You can go for something that all of a sudden you're smelling the roses again. All of a sudden you're seeing life differently. All of a sudden you're in a space that you're like, I never knew that this could exist. I never knew that this goodness was available to me. I never knew that my life didn't have to look like what it did before, and I never thought it would change. And that's where I found myself. That's where I met the man Jesus. And so when I talk about who is Jesus, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Jesus is my everything. And the reason Jesus is my everything is because Jesus is love. Jesus has taught me love. I didn't understand love before this, other than the love of my son, the love I had for my son. I didn't understand love could look different because love had beat me down. Love had depressed me. Love had called me names. Love had bullied me. Love had broken me down. Love had chewed me out. Love had done everything it could to cause me to be in a state of hate. And then this peace came when I started learning more about Jesus, started reading about his ministry, started reading about all he did was love and compassion. All he did was show love to people who hated him, who spoke against him. And how powerful is it when you talk about people who honestly have drug your name through the mud, people who have blazed you up and down, but now you're sitting here and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna love you anyways. I know you've been hurt. I know you've been through some things. I know some of those things like I could not even understand, but I am going to choose to love you anyways. Like that is powerful. Love is one of those things that can save people. And I'm not talking about, oh, we'll just love that man until he's better. No, that's not what I'm talking about. And I've said this before. You can walk away from somebody because you're choosing to love yourself. But you can still pray for people. You can still want good for those around you. You don't have to walk away in a fury of anger and despair and be like, I'm not going to talk to nobody. I'm over it. I'm done with it. No, there is a love that allows you to love yourself, love others, love your past, love the parts of your past that made you who you are today, made you the fighter that you are. Love is so freeing. I know my channel is Lips and Language, but I'm all about love. Everything I do is love. Everything I do is to be more and more loving to those who hurt me, to those who love me, to those that I want to love, that might be challenging to love. Those are the best ones because they really give you a run for the money. The people who are hard to love, man, they have been hurt some, and they will show you what love is. They'll show you how to have unconditional love. And so when I think about Jesus, the Son of Man, the Son of God, the who came down, put on flesh, lived this earth just like you and I, showed us what it is like to love, showed us what it is like to not judge, showed us what it is like to be in unity, showed us what it is like to be in peace, showed us what it is like to not live in worry, to not live in anxiety, but to find joy in the tiniest places, to find faith in the hardest of situations. That is who I follow. My ministry is all about love. Jesus' ministry was all about love. I will continue to share love. I will continue to be all about love because love is so powerful. And because I love God, because I love my body, I have chosen not to give over my body to the things that didn't love me back. Alcohol didn't love me. I didn't really like that one. But the sex didn't love me. It did not love me. And when I realized that and gave it up, was when I'm really starting to see who I was meant to be and how I can embrace that in a really, really, really powerful way. There's this analogy that God gave me, and I really want to share it with you. And so I'm about to insert it right here because it's so good when you talk about being adopted into a family of love, being adopted into a situation where the people who we were, the people who we thought we were meant to be, even that idea has been stripped away. So in verse 15, it says, "So you have not received the spirit that makes you fearful. Instead, fearful slaves, sorry. Instead, you received God's spirit when he adopted you as his own children. Now we call him Abba Father. For his spirit joins with our spirit to affirm that we are God's children." Can y'all feel it? Can y'all feel the love? We're not fearful slaves. We're not a slave to sex. We're not a slave to the negativities of this world. We are free. We are free. And in that, we have been adopted by a really, really, really loving Father. And all he wants to do is pour out his love on us. And all he wants to do is show us the good life. All he wants to do is show us the good side. And many times we curse him. Many times we betray him. Many times we come against him. Many times we do something differently. Many times we are just like, no, I don't know how to receive this love. And he's like, that's okay. I will be gentle through this process. I will continue to love you anyways. And even if it's just you, just one person, I am coming after you. Do you understand how powerful that is? So, I want you to enjoy this analogy that I'm about to give and enjoy the story that God has built, because it really, truly is beautiful. It really is something to think about. So as we are in Love Month, as I have concluded the God and Sex series, I want y'all to think about every single thing that I've talked about. And if you haven't watched the series, go watch it all, because I talk about your body being the temple. I talk about masturbation. We talk about porn. We talk about everything and all things in between of how to get your mind right, how to appreciate that God has given you a body that has healthy desires, you know, that you desire somebody of the opposite sex, and that eventually you will come into the Garden of Eden and have a beautiful life where you can experience sex in a healthy way. But until such time, you renew your mind. Until such time, you're keeping yourself guarded. Until such time, you're just receiving the love of God and you're allowing that to wash you clean. My friend, the journey has just begun. We'll talk soon. Welcome to the $1 Billion Mindset. Do you remember the story of Orphan Annie and her adopted father, Daddy Warbucks? If you haven't seen the movie, I recommend it. It's a story about a cute little girl who was in an orphanage and throughout the course of the movie won over the heart of a wealthy man, Daddy Warbucks, and in the end was adopted into his family. She went from a season of heartbreak and being unseen into a new season of love, support, and embrace. Suddenly, she had access to more than she could have ever dreamed of. It wasn't about the money though. It was about the love and companionship and being truly loved unconditionally by somebody. What if, in a moment, you found out you were adopted into a billionaire family? How would that make you feel? Would it ease your financial stress? Would it allow you to travel and try new things? What would you do if you experienced a new type of love and freedom? Now, hold this image in your mind. Hold this feeling in your heart. Feel it in your body. Allow your smile to increase slowly as the truth and joy of your newfound journey overcomes you. I'm about to let you in on a secret that most are unaware of. You were born into royalty. You were adopted into a billionaire family, and your father is God. We were adopted through his son, Jesus Christ. Now, Jesus took all the lashes and literally gave up his life to ensure that we could be in the family too. Many of us have been taught that the key to heaven is to follow the rules, love a God in the sky, and avoid everything that will send us to hell. Be a good little girl or boy by not breaking the rules and living life as perfectly as we can. Oh, and make sure we do good deeds that will secure our place in heaven. The difficulty with that mentality is that we end up living lives trying endlessly to be perfect and prove ourselves to a God who already accepted us just as we were. Depending on how you were raised, you may have experienced this. Parents who only praise kids when they get all A's in school. Anything less isn't as celebrated and is met with lectures and lots of disappointment. What this can do is unintentionally place societal stresses on children from a young age. It plants a seed of not good enough and causes children to work harder and seek a validation. Sometimes it will seem as if our parents do their best to have good kids who don't embarrass the family and carry on the legacy of honor. They have huge expectations, and anything outside of that seems like a huge waste of talent. At times, they would get upset or frustrated because their child doesn't live the life they imagine. Even though they do it out of protection and wanting better for them, there is beauty in nurturing the life that God has pre-designed and predestined for us. Imagine being adopted into a family where your past or perfect achievements didn't even matter because the family was so excited to embrace you. What would it look like if we were a people that were healed? What would it look like if we were people that believed in doing the work necessary to remove trauma, to get through grief, and to come out on the other side? Man, we think that therapy is the only way. Therapy is a great way, but there's also a creative way that can help us get through this process. My name is Kola. I am an amazing artist, and I have a program called Restore and Embrace Myself. It is all about the healing and the getting through and the getting over. And if nobody told you, you are special and you are so deserving of so much more in this world. So get in contact with me because I'd love to work with you.